Recently, a client came to my office. She had purchased an annuity. She felt distressed. There were surrender charges. Her rate of return was not good. Are they a scam, is what she said. Had this woman known many things about these annuities before she purchased this from the other advisor, she may have been better off. I'm Chris McMahon. I'm a financial expert. I've helped thousands of people and manage over $600 million of assets. Let's talk about annuities, what to look for, what to avoid at all costs, and when they might make some sense. Many times with annuities, they guarantee a certain period of payout. Maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 20 years, maybe it's for the rest of your life. And that's what people find appealing, that they cannot outlive their resources. But a couple of things that really we have a moment of pause with annuities. One, the level of financial sophistication of the people buying the annuities oftentimes is in misalignment with those people that are manufacturing those annuities. Oftentimes those prospectuses are extraordinarily thick and very confusing and very difficult for people to read. Secondly, many situations with the sale of annuities do not require the salespeople to be licensed as financial advisors, which is very troubling in many ways. Oftentimes, you really can't buy any investments without someone having certifications and having oversight. Many times, it's the insurance regulators that have oversight on annuities. What is an annuity? Let's talk about that. Really, an annuity is nothing more than a contract with a life insurance company that says one of two things. I will give you a lump sum of money. You will invest that money on my behalf. That money will always grow tax-free. And at some point, when I take that money out, I will use that as a stream of income. Oftentimes, though, again, we have to watch out for what are called surrender fees and time horizon when you can terminate the policy. Those are things we have to keep in mind. Not nearly as liquid as some other investments might be. Oftentimes when we're dealing with clients, they'll say, what annuity is right for me or anything? Often you'll find that they're buying fixed annuities. Why they're buying fixed annuities is because one, there's no market risk and people really appreciate not having market risk. Or two, the annuity it is tied not to a CD rate of return, but the stock market rate of return. It's called an indexed annuity. Often people say it's tied to the stock market. Well, therefore the advisor must have securities licenses, but they do not. Because remember, the indexed annuity is thought of as a fixed insurance product. Probably the lowest bar in terms of being licensed as a financial professional would be a life insurance professional as opposed to having any securities licenses. Those professionals can sell these indexed annuity products, and they are oftentimes talked about saying, look, they give stock market rates of return and they do have guarantees built into them. So if the market goes down precipitously, you won't lose all your money. So it's very appealing. What people don't realize is a couple things about that. One of the reasons we don't really love indexed annuities very much because it's very confusing. But what happens is you'll get to the end of an annuity period. We've seen this with customers. They'll say, I've had this annuity for 12 years. Put in $50,000. I see it. It says the value is $150,000, but the termination value is $130,000. I don't understand this. We'll say because the $150,000, what was called is the annuitization value. It's confusing even to talk about it. That means if you were to draw a monthly income from it, they would calculate that based on the $150,000. However, if you wanted a lump sum, you only got the $130,000. And oftentimes we look at that value of coming out of the $150,000, when we calculate the interest rate that it's attributed to it while it's being paid out, we find that they would have been much better off not dealing with any of these expenses, fees, handcuffs, and having this type of annuity. I think advisors recommend annuities for two reasons. One, because they're really trying to satisfy their client's need not to outlive their income. I think that's really true. I think most advisors are well-meaning in what they're doing. Oftentimes, however, they're not trained enough in comprehensive financial planning. Therefore, they really don't understand the whole breadth of products that are available to a person. So the annuity is the only solution they have. So oftentimes it's a square peg in a round hole for everybody gets a square peg because there are no other solutions. And all their compensation, all of their benefits are tied to the sale of that one product. I think it's important to ask that to people. When we're working with financial advisors and someone's suggesting annuity, we say, what other products do you offer? What other financial licenses do you have? And here's a very important one. Are you a fiduciary? Are you acting as a fiduciary? Financial advice is being offered for fiduciaries at record rates, meaning these people are legally obligated to act in your best interest if they are acting as a fiduciary, which is very important, or an investment advisor. Oftentimes they're not. That's why the annuity products are sold. I've seen financial advisors advertise things that are startling. One actually advertises, I would rather die and go to hell than sell you an annuity. And I don't agree with that at all, because I do think there are places where annuities are right. Yes, there's fees. Yes, it's confusing. Annuitization value as well as surrender value. Yes, there's all kinds of additional charges on top of that. But for certain people, we could absolutely say a fixed annuity with minimal surrender charges sold by a fiduciary may make some sense, because perhaps instead of getting 3% in a CD, they might be able to get 4.5% tax deferred, and perhaps that sales charge isn't onerous. Remember, for a client that would put $100,000 in a mutual fund, the sales charge might be 1% normally with a financial advisor. An annuity, it might be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%. 10%, 10 times the fee. That's why it's very important that the customer know exactly what they're buying and do some comparison. There's some wonderful resources on the internet that'll help people do the research to determine, A, are they buying an annuity that has reasonable expenses? And B, are they buying it from a company that's credible? And C, are they buying it from a financial person who's acting as a fiduciary, so they are legally obligated to act in my best interest? Annuities do work sometimes. They work best when we don't need the money back, when we don't need high rates of return, when it's in no way tied to the stock market. Are they always a bad deal? No. The woman who came in my office that day, she probably could have taken a fixed annuity and then also bought a series of laddered bonds and been in a much better position. I'm not sure the financial advisor had the wherewithal to make those recommendations, and I think that particular client suffered. I don't want you to suffer. That's why we're going to follow my advice. I'm Chris McMahon. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you hear, please click and subscribe below.